Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I have with me Alexis Vaughn, founder and CEO at Of Course Learning and author of Insurance Distribution of the Future, an interactive guide for agents. And actually, I feel like that introduction might not quite be enough. Also, adjunct professor at UConn, Masters in FinTech, mentor at Lloyd's Lab, and uh, part of Insurtech Atlanta, part of APIW Atlanta. So deeply, deeply involved in our industry. So Alexis,
Yes.
thank you for making time to come on the show today. How's it going?
Oh my gosh, all is well. All is well. It's been a busy last few weeks. Exciting and busy. So I couldn't be happier to be here to chat with you a little bit about what's been going on since the last time we actually talked on
Perfect.
your podcast.
So
So
yes,
really
for
excited.
for the listeners, Alexis was on the podcast talking about her consulting firm. That was episode 476. So maybe a year ago, and I'll include that link in the show notes. Today, here to talk about the brand new book. Came out, I want to say late January. Um,
February, on my birthday, February 21st.
also, oh,
Uh
so late. So you have
yes,
been really, really busy. Uh, all right.
yes.
Yeah, tell us about the book, Insurance Distribution of the Future.
Oh my gosh. So listen, when I decided that I was going to write a book, I decided that I was going to start on it after ITC Vegas last year when I did a TED Talk style keynote at the ITC agents, and I talked about how important it was for agents and brokers to not fear the insurtech and what it means to also see different lines of insurance and technology integrated in those spaces. And then I also thought about my students at UConn, where I created a course with my husband, Marvin Vaughn, and co founder of Off Course Consulting and Off Course Learning. And one of the things that we kind of really focused on teaching was about all the different emerging technologies in insurance. And I thought that was pretty important because we have this huge talent gap pending. And we wanted to make sure that we're finding creative ways to attract people to the insurance industry and also attract people who probably wouldn't have considered having this as a career choice. So we have to make it more attractive, also just break it all the way down for them. So between the course and listening to a lot of the feedback that I got from the ITC agents, I decided that I was going to go home and write a book. So I started around the first week of November, completed the book by December 19th, right before Christmas. So I wrote the book in less than 60 days. It's 8 chapters, around 147 pages. I have no idea how I managed to do this. And when I tell you this book is full of so many great concepts, it's very in depth. This is Insurance Distribution of the Future and a real interactive guide for agents and brokers. And I thought that was really important because, number one, I wrote it for people who are new to the insurance industry, Insurtech founders who are just deciding to create technology for the insurance industry. It helps to give them, especially if they're focused on distribution in any way, it helps to give them a great guide to be able to start. And also excel and also give agents and brokers what they truly need and not just continue making tech that no one actually said they wanted. Solving real problems. So I decided to kind of focus on that. So new insurtech founders, people who are new to the industry, and also I made this as a guide for people who have been in the industry for a while, especially those who are curious about just distribution and the direction it's going in, where it used to be. And also those agents and brokers who may be at that crossroads where they're transitioning their agencies or brokerages because maybe the market that they were specifically selling, for their agency, maybe that market isn't available anymore. And now they need to figure out how to pivot. Or maybe they're trying to figure out how do we actually build a digital first agency? What does that look like? I want to make sure that we also debunk a ton of the myths around technology being here to replace agents and brokers. This book has amazing interactive pages. Every single chapter comes with pages where you can actually do exercises, do breakdowns, put together all the things that you learned throughout the book. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. It debuted on my birthday. I'm celebrating the last year of my 30s, so why not go out with a bang and come out with a book? So I literally am so excited about what it's been doing just so early. Like before I even finished writing the book, I had sold almost 200 copies to one carrier. And I hadn't even finished writing the book. I just started telling people here and there. So yeah, really excited about what's happening now. And now it's a number one bestseller among four retailers: Amazon, Amazon Kindle, Apple eBooks, and Barnes and Nobles in not one country, but two countries, in the US and the UK. So I'm so excited about that. I'm grateful for all the support that I've gotten thus far.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So really meant for the agency side of our world. Agents. So I'm a carrier guy. I'm a carrier guy that accidentally ended up running an Insurtech podcast. Uh, and the day job nowadays, I recruit mostly for Insurtechs and for agents, a little bit of carriers, but I've never worked at an agency. I've worked with agents as an underwriter, as a sales manager, a marketing rep, nowadays as a recruiter. But one thing that has become really clear is that most agencies are sleeping, right? They're kind of sitting on a book of business that was built in a really old-fashioned way, and is slowly declining. Many of them are selling those books of business. Many don't have
Yeah.
kids that want to take over the business. Um, so the challenge one is there's all this technology.
Mm-hmm.
Challenge one is convincing them that they do need to improve their tech game.
Correct.
But however that happens, uh, challenge two is the moment they kind of look up and they go like, okay, I get it. The book is declining. The competition is far more technologically advanced. Agents aren't going anywhere. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
how do I modernize my agency? And they're willing to write a few checks and they look into the horizon. There's thousands of options,
It
right?
is.
And such a difficult thing to do to figure out the technology that you do need. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now we have ITC agent. That's really good. We have Catalyst. We have a few resources here and there. So where does the book fit into that? It sounds like it's then correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like it's there to help agents learn how to think about this transformation.
Yeah. So actually, it gives them a step-by-step guide
Fantastic.
on,
Okay.
yes. Not I don't I They were one of the complaints that I got even before I started writing the book, when I just started doing a lot of keynotes, specifically for carriers and also for the agency associations. What I would hear from them is people always talk about what that the future of insurance is coming and this innovation transformation thing is happening, but no one ever talks about what that actually means for the agent and broker and how they can actually leverage it, and also what technologies specifically they need to leverage based on what their book of business is, and based on what their agency is, or what they're, from a carrier perspective, what that company actually sells as a solution and a product. So what I did with this book was, I literally, when I say it's an interactive guide, I mean that. There's a chapter on understanding first what the new distribution model is compared to the old one, and kind of seeing and helping them understand, like, what's the difference between an Insurtech, what's the difference between an MGA versus a BGA, like, where do I fit? What's the difference between an Insurtech MGA? There is a difference between traditional MGAs and Insurtech MGAs, for instance. I know because we develop MGAs all the time, and build them up from scratch. And also, I actually had my own MGA of 26 single moms that I taught the business to. So I've had this bird's eye view into what distribution is. And I bring a totally different perspective because I've been the captive agent working for the carrier. I've been the independent agent. I've been on the MGA side, and I've even worked for a big four brokerage firm as a broker. And then I've also been into the insurtech space and running distribution and helping to build distribution models. So my perspective is totally unique and more of a unicorn, as I like to say, where I can definitely give some expertise and a little bit more of a deep dive on, like, hey, well, if you're looking for an AI coworker, I'm going to tell you to go specifically with this particular client. If you're looking for this type of technology, maybe you only want to streamline your underwriting processes as an MGA. I'm probably going to tell you to go with this particular insurtech because these are insurtechs that we have specifically vetted. We actually know that they're going to be around, that they're not going to be out of business in the next few years, and technology providers as well. And what I also did with this book is I broke it down based on property and casualty products and life and health and even group benefit products. I broke down how technology integrations are within every single type of policy that you can think of, from commercial to D&O to cyber to E&O, all the way to life insurance and even retirement plans, even thinking about annuities and wealth management and what that looks like for the future, because we know there's a ton of opportunity for innovation in life and health. And the reason why I'm able to give this perspective is because I've sold it all. I'm still a licensed producer in property and casualty, life and health, and I'm even an insurance counselor because I've been able to consult companies, multiple Fortune 500 companies, on different insurance solutions they should buy. So literally, I'm taking everything that people have asked me that they've been curious about, a lot of things that we consult on a ton, like what's it for insurtech founders? What's the difference between an agent and a broker? I break that all the way down. I call it the ABCs, being able to speak the language, what type of language you need to speak for an agent versus a broker. And I even break down compensation if you're looking at it from the distribution view and you're that agent or broker or you're someone new coming into the business. I even have compensation structures broken down for every type of product and every type of business model, from 1099 to captive agent to independent agent to being a broker to being in leadership and even being a producer. So I literally broke this down as a true guide for the next generation and for the current generation who's transitioning in. So yeah, they can use this. They can literally learn pretty much anything in it, including the carriers. They can even learn from this. And as I've been doing more keynotes for carriers and for their distribution teams, I've been hearing a lot of, we really needed to hear that. We hadn't really thought about it from that perspective. We've only thought about it from the corporate level and how it truly affects everyone at the corporate level. We hadn't really thought about how to address it at the agency workforce level. So yeah, I thought about a little bit of everything. And I also brought some friends with me too. So I know you've probably been seeing by now, I've been highlighting all of these amazing leaders. I interviewed 5 agents and 5 brokers, and they're all executive level. And I wanted them to be a part of what I call the wisdom chapter. This book is the beginning of a series. So this is volume 1. So every volume will have a wisdom chapter in it, and I'll spotlight very specific people. So I have some amazing people like Taffy Joe Mayers, Chief Distribution Officer at Neuron. I have Tinsley English, SVP of Operations at Marshall McLennan Agency, and all the way to the amazing Diana Greenberg. She's the president of Simplicity Group, and she represents that life and health side that on that end, and BGAs. And I also have Rex Hinkling, who is doing some incredible stuff. They are really like, they're not talking about the future. They're doing it right now by integrating that technology and helping those agency owners who are looking to grow, but maybe they don't have the funds to do that and to get that technology. So they're able to partner with organizations like them. But Yeah, they were all sharing some great wisdom. So I'm really excited for everyone to read it. We've already been getting great reviews, so I'm excited.
Okay, so deeply practical. Basically, you're focused on not the theory, but how do you actually do this, depending on what your agency and products look like.
Yes,
Uh, Bringing in some interesting perspectives from very successful people in the agency
absolutely.
and broker space. Um, what is the feedback from the readers? What are you hearing back?
You know, the feedback that I've been getting thus far is everyone really liked that it was a really practical guide, but mixed with storytelling and also insights. So it wasn't just a narrow book where it was only going to be just very practical, teaching you how to do a more like how to type book. It actually mixed in storytelling. So I tell the story at the beginning, my insurance story, how I got inspired and how I keep myself inspired as I continue to grow in my career. And then we have the wisdom chapter that also does the storytelling. But then we get in, so that's the first chapter and the eighth chapter. But then everything in the middle, they loved it because a lot of people have been in the industry a long time. And some of them didn't realize the difference between an agent and a broker until they actually read it in my book. And
Messi.
they may identify as an agent or a broker. But what has happened is people think that those words are interchangeable and they are not. They are very much different. Like you have to have a totally separate license to be a broker. Like you have to have an insurance counselor's license, which is why I can literally say I've been both because I know that there is a difference. You also don't you also don't work for just one particular carrier either, or you can't even place business at the broker level. You normally have someone who's actually doing that on your behalf. Like you're not just out saying, okay, I'm going to sell this Aflac policy or this nationwide policy. You actually are consulting. You're more at that consultative sales level. But that's what I also talked about, how agents need to adapt some of that in order to stay ahead. Shift the mindset from being more focused on selling products and be more of a consultative seller and an advisor and a trusted partner. And and also learn how to leverage that technology to create better experiences. But it's received very, very great feedback, warm reviews. People really liked how it was like a nice mixture of the storytelling, the practical how-to guide, and also with that shared wisdom from the industry leaders. Because it's a surprise, like you don't know until you get to the end of the book that how it's gonna wrap it up. But we even talk about the talent gap, which the carriers really appreciated that. I actually had my husband, who was an expert talent acquisition leader, worked for Corn Ferry, worked for Country Financial, MetLife, New York Life. So he's worked in the insurance, aviation, tech, and the healthcare space for years. So he has a totally different perspective when it comes to how to really close the talent gap from a carrier perspective and also from an industry perspective and how we have to take that unique approach. So I thought it was perfect since we were going to talk about closing the talent gap to bring him in as the guest author of that chapter. That's chapter 7. And it has just the great feedback has been overwhelming. So I'm really happy about that. Cause when you spend all your time, like I was writing a chapter a week just to get this done. So, when you've sacrificed that much time, you want it to be worth it and you want people to actually get something out of it.
And you're now thinking of this as a series.
Yes,
So
this
so
is volume 1.
so what are the planned volumes and kind of what's the tentative timeline?
Yeah, so I'm not sure which one we're gonna do next because I have another book that we're working on that was already gonna come out that way. But what happened was when I started writing this book, I wasn't planning for it to be a volume, like a series type thing, but there was so much content to where I had to just cut it off and say, okay, I have to take this chapter out, take that chapter out, and all of this stuff. And I was like, this just needs to be a series because there's so much more we can say. So one of the next volumes in the book is going to focus on more of that specific sales related. I'm going to go into a deep dive on like how to leverage technology to actually sell and close business and grow your agencies and things like that. So I'm excited about that. And then we're going to build also, you know, if you another one, my husband is actually going to be coming out with one that's going to be all about talent among different industries. So that'll be another one in the series as well.
All right. Fantastic. Congratulations on getting it done and getting it done so quickly.
Thank
Uh,
you. I
it,
appreciate it.
it is a uh, it's a ton of work to get a book
It
done
is.
that quickly. It's a very similar story to my book on millennials and insurance, where we spent years doing the research, and once we decided to write it, we wrote it in like 90 days, and it was like 90
Mm-hmm.
sleepless days. So
Yeah.
I totally commiserate there. I'm glad that it's going well. For the listeners, I'll include the link to Amazon, but available at the bookstores.
Yes.
Alexis, thank you so much for your time today. Any so you spoke last year at ITC Agent, and you've been
Mm-hmm.
speaking at carrier events. In any conferences that you're speaking at for the rest of the year, that so that
Yeah.
listeners can check it out.
Yeah, so of course I'll be doing of course ITC again because I was on the advisory board. So I'll be doing ITC Vegas plus ITC agents and brokers. Then I'll also be coming up in May. In May I'll be doing a webinar around the Insurtech Summit, which is a webinar style with carrier management. Then I'll also be doing a few other training courses as well coming up. So there'll be some in-person trainings. We're going to be actually teaching agency transformation directly to agents via learning. And we're going to be doing those both in person and webinars. So you can find out more about those at offcourse.ai on our website. And then, of course, I'll be at InsurTech Insights New York. So I'm really excited about that. I have some special guests that I'm bringing in, and we're going to talk about closing the talent gap. Like, I'm really excited about this, and of course, my students are going to be at a lot of these conferences with us as well. So I'm really excited. It's so much more to come in. And also I'll be at Reuters Future of Insurance. And I'm pretty sure I'll also be at a few other conferences. We just want to that's the ones I've confirmed for thus far.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time today.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Tony.